The human circulatory system, also known as the cardiovascular system, is a complex network of blood vessels and organs that transport nutrients, gases, hormones, and waste products throughout the body. Its primary components include the heart, blood vessels, and blood. Here's an in-depth explanation of each component and their functions. Heart. The human heart is a muscular organ responsible for pumping blood throughout the body, providing oxygen and nutrients to cells and removing metabolic waste. Here's a detailed overview of its structure. External structure. Pericardium. Double-layered sac that encloses the heart. Fibrous pericardium. Outer layer tough and protective. Serous pericardium. Inner layer consisting of parietal and visceral layers with pericardial fluid in between, reducing friction during heartbeats. Internal structure. Chambers. First is atria, that is upper chambers. Receive blood returning to the heart. Right atrium receives deoxygenated blood from the body via the superior and inferior vena cava. Left atrium receives oxygenated blood from the lungs via the pulmonary veins. Ventricles, lower chambers, pump blood out of the heart. Right ventricle pumps deoxygenated blood to the lungs via the pulmonary artery. Left ventricle pumps oxygenated blood to the body via aorta. Valves. Atrioventricle valve. They separate atria from ventricles. Tricuspid valve. They are present between right atrium and right ventricle. Mitral valve. They are also called as bicuspid valve and they are present between left atrium and left ventricle. Semilunar valves. They control blood flow out of the ventricles. There are two types of semilunar valves. First is the aortic valves and the second the pulmonary valve. So pulmonary valve present between right ventricle and pulmonary artery, whereas aortic valve is present between left ventricle and aorta. The next structure is septa. Interatrial septum which separates the atria and interventricular septum which separates the ventricles. If we talk about heart wall, they are divided in three layers. First is epicardium, that is the outer layer which is protective and lubricative. Next is myocardium. This is middle layer composed of cardiac muscle responsible for contraction. Endocardium, that is inner layer, smooth and continuous with endothelium. The heart is a vital organ with the primary function of pumping blood throughout the body. Its role is essential for sustaining life by ensuring that oxygen and nutrients reach all tissues while removing waste products. Here's a detailed elaboration of the functions of the heart. Systemic circulation. The left side of the heart receives oxygenated blood from the lungs and pumps it into the systemic circulation arteries, which delivers oxygen and nutrients to all organs and tissues of the body. Pulmonary circulation. The right side of the heart receives deoxygenated blood from the body and pumps it to the lungs via the pulmonary arteries for oxygenation. Oxygenated blood returns to the left side of the heart through the pulmonary veins. Now let's see the pumping process. The heart's blood pumping cycle, which is called the cardiac cycle, begins when oxygen-free blood returns to the heart through the right atrium after distributing oxygen and nutrients to other parts of the body. The blood then moves into the right ventricle, which facilitates a transfer of blood into the lungs. Within the lungs, all waste gases such as carbon dioxide are released from the blood while also reoxygenating the blood for its return to the circulation. Now, blood rich in oxygen returns to the heart through the left atrium and eventually into the left ventricle. This chamber then pumps blood to the other organs of the body through the aorta. After reaching each of the organs, deoxygenated blood leaves these organs through their respective veins until finally reaching the heart through the superior and inferior vena cava, depending upon the organ. Approximately 5.6 liters of blood circulate the body with 3 cardiac cycles completed each minute. Generating blood pressure. Systole. Contraction of the heart muscle during systole pushes blood out of the heart into the arteries, generating pressure that propels blood throughout the body. Diastole. Relaxation of the heart muscle during diastole allows the chambers to fill with blood from the veins, preparing for the next contraction. One more function of heart is regulating blood flow. Valves prevent backflow of blood and ensure one-way flow through the heart chambers and into arteries. Anteroventricular valves separate atria from ventricles with the help of tricuspid and mitral valves. Semilunar valves control blood flow out of the ventricles into the arteries with the help of pulmonary and aortic valves. Generating a heartbeat. The first phase of heartbeat, which is known as systole, is a short period that occurs when the ventricles contract and initiate the closing of the tricuspid and mitral valves. The second phase, which is called diastole, is a relatively long period of ventricular relaxation where the aortic and pulmonary valves close. The heart's lubbed up sound is produced by the continuous closing and opening of the valves. This process occurs in a way that the entry and exit of either oxygen rich or oxygen free blood into and outside the heart remain synchronized. The rate of systole and diastole are commonly used to quantify the rate of an individual's blood pressure at a certain point in time. A normal heart rate of an adult is typically around 72 beats per minute. Next important organ of circulatory system is blood vessels. Arteries, veins and capillaries are three types of blood vessels that play crucial roles in the circulatory system, facilitating the transport of blood throughout the body. Here's an elaboration on their structures and functions. Arteries. Arteries are blood vessels that carry oxygen-rich blood away from the heart to the tissues and organs of the body. Arteries have thicker walls compared to veins due to the presence of more smooth muscles and elastic fibers. And it is divided into three layers, that is tunica intima, tunica media, tunica adventitia. Veins. Veins are blood vessels that carry deoxygenated blood from the tissues back to the heart. And the veins have thinner walls compared to arteries with less muscle and elastic tissues. Veins are also divided into three layers: tunica intima, tunica media and tunica adventitia. Differences between arteries and veins. Blood flow. Arteries carry deoxygenated blood away from the heart while veins carry deoxygenated blood back to the heart. Wall thickness. Arteries have thicker walls with more smooth muscle and elastic tissues, whereas veins have thinner walls with less muscles. Valves. Veins contain valves to prevent backflow of blood, especially in the limbs. Blood pressure. Arteries have higher blood pressure due to their thicker muscular walls and elastic recoil, while veins have lower pressure. Pulmonary circulation. Underline. Pulmonary arteries carry deoxygenated blood to the lungs, while pulmonary veins carry oxygenated blood from the lungs to the heart. Next is capillaries. So capillaries are tiny blood vessels that form a vast network throughout the body, connecting arterioles, small arteries, and venules, small veins. They play a crucial role in facilitating the exchange of gases, nutrients and waste products between the blood and tissues. Here's a detailed exploration of capillaries. Functions. Exchange of substances. Oxygen and carbon dioxide. So capillaries facilitate the diffusion of oxygen from the blood into tissues and the diffusion of carbon dioxide from tissues into the blood. Nutrients such as glucose, amino acids and fatty acids pass from the blood into tissues. Waste products. Metabolic waste such as carbon dioxide and urea move from tissues into the blood to be transported away for elimination. They also help in fluid exchange and regulation of blood flow. Capillaries are essential for maintaining the homeostasis of tissues by ensuring the delivery of oxygen and nutrients and the removal of waste products. They facilitate the exchange of substances that support cellular metabolism and function. And the third important part of our circulatory system is blood. Blood is a specialized connective tissue that performs vital functions in the human body, including transportation of substances, regulation of temperature, and protection against infections. Blood consists of three components: plasma, blood cells, and platelets. Plasma is the liquid portion of blood, making up about 55% of blood volume. It contains water, proteins like albumin, globulins, fibrinogen, electrolytes like sodium, potassium, calcium, hormones, and waste products. Solid components of blood making up about 45% of blood volume, and it includes red blood cells, also called erythrocytes. They carry oxygen from the lungs to tissues and carbon dioxide from tissues to the lungs. They make up the majority of formed elements. White blood cells, also called leukocytes, they play important role in immune defense by defending the body against pathogens and foreign substances. Platelets, also called thrombocytes, they are essential for blood clotting to prevent excessive bleeding. Functions of blood. So first is transportation. Red blood cells transport oxygen bound to hemoglobin from the lungs to tissues. Carbon dioxide. Red blood cells transport carbon dioxide from tissues to the lungs for exhalation. Nutrients. Blood carries glucose, amino acids, lipids, and vitamins absorbed from the digestive system to tissues for energy and cell maintenance. Waste products. Blood transports metabolic waste such as urea and lactic acid to the kidneys and liver for excretion. Regulation. Temperature. Blood absorbs and distributes heat throughout the body, helping to regulate body temperature. pH balance. Blood buffers help maintain a stable pH around 7.35 to 7.45 by absorbing excess hydrogen ions or releasing them as needed. Water balance. Blood transports water to maintain proper hydration level in cells and tissues. Protection. Immune response. White blood cells, that is leukocytes, defend against pathogens like bacteria, viruses, fungi, and foreign substances through phagocytosis, antibody production, and other immune mechanisms. Blood clotting. Platelets and clotting factors in plasma form clots to seal off injured blood vessels, preventing excessive bleeding and promoting wound healing. Double circulation. The way blood flows in the human body is unique and it is quite efficient too. The blood circulates through the heart twice, hence it is called double circulation. Other animals like fish have single circulation, whereas blood completes a circuit throughout the entire animal only once. The main advantage of double circulation is that every tissue in the body has a steady supply of oxygenated blood and it does not get mixed with the deoxygenated blood. So, the heart is a pump usually beating about 60 to 100 times per minute. With each heartbeat, the heart sends blood throughout our bodies, carrying oxygen to every cell.